Joe Rogan is going around talking about how teachers are being forced to put litter boxes in schools for all of those kids who identify as cats. Now, we all know this isn't true. Joe knows that this isn't true, but I think we might have stumbled on to a really good idea here. In this age of don't say gay, I think it's a little risky for students to be asking teachers if they can use the bathroom. You guys remember the Arnold Schwarzenegger action thriller Kindergarten Cop?
Yes.
I need to go to the bathroom.
Okay, you can go.
Boys have a penis, girls have a vagina.
Thanks for the tip.
See what I mean? The girl asks to use the bathroom. The boy overhears it, starts talking about penises and vaginas. A kid walks in to a classroom smelling like dookie. All of a sudden, the teacher's engaging him in all kinds of butt talk. Right? Is that your butt? Did you wipe your butt? Do you know how to wipe your butt? Boom, lawsuit. It's a lot safer to just put a giant litter box in the classroom for all the kids to shit in. Then they can bury their shit and go off and eat a cookie or whatever. Anyways, Joe has his own thoughts on this issue that isn't at all real.
My friend, his wife, is a school teacher. And she works at a school that had to install a litter box in the girls' room because there is a girl who's a furry who identifies as an animal, and her mother badgered the school until they agreed to put a litter box in one of the stalls.
This is not true.
This is David Dole. His show is called The Rational National. This is what I want to get to. I don't really listen to the show, but I do remember he was a big defender of Jimmy Dore back in 2016, back when it was really important for people to turn on Jimmy Dore. Because Jimmy Dore was going around telling his audience that we should just let Trump win and it would incite a revolution. Obviously, Jimmy didn't believe that. In fact, anybody with any knowledge of the past 20 years of American politics knows what a stupid idea that is. But David backed him up anyways. David believed him when he said, "I'm on the left and I mean well." Now David has turned on him after the Supreme Court has already declared war on the United States. And I don't understand this urge, this need people have to believe that Joe Rogan is somehow naive. And I want to point out the irony that they actually think that they're not the ones who are naive when they believe that Joe Rogan is just stupid. Because we all know a person can be both a stupid and a liar. We both know that someone can be, I don't know, short, bald, and filled with bad intentions. I'm going to skip ahead because David fumbles around a little bit.
Claim about litter boxes in New York school is unfounded. And this is now spread, many people now talking about this. These litter boxes in the classroom. So, debunked, not true. But let's say in Joe's case, he's in Texas, that he has, first, notice how all these stories are like, it's a friend of a friend of a friend. That's who told me this. But let's say, there are several reasons behind this. One, his friend is lying. Two, there is no friend. he just saw this headline and thought to personalize it.
He saw the headline and thought to personalize it. Think you hit the nail on the head by accident there, buddy. That's called lying. And yet your video, his video, is called Joe Rogan Falls for the Litter Box Joe Rogan Falls for the Litter Box Lie, and not Joe Rogan Lies About Litter Boxes. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's this need to feel superior to your opponent. I don't know if maybe they just can't accept that he's their opponent. I remember during the Bernie Sanders campaign, a lot of people thought that Joe had made a change for the better. But they all seem to conveniently forget that less than a year before, a study had came out that had made it to the news and that Joe had actually referenced on his show, finding that Joe Rogan was a gateway to the online alt-right. There is a thing called publicity, and I swear, everybody fell for this. Ben Burgess fell for it. I got into an argument with Ben Burgess about this. And they can't let it go. This dude played you. Now, I welcomed his endorsement. I'll welcome anybody who helps my man get elected. But I don't... Listen. Here's the thing. Richard Gere never shoved a gerbil up his ass. Now, I know that's an old reference. I don't care if my references date me. Women won't. I remember the days when we really did get information from a friend of a friend of a friend. We couldn't Google things. Let's say I came to you and I said, hey, did you hear the story about Richard Gere shoving a gerbil up his ass? I totally believe it. You could call me naive. That's fine. But then if I sit there and I say to you, hey, I was at a hospital and I met the doctor who shoved his hand up Richard Gere's ass and pulled that gerbil out, that would make me a liar. But even when they catch Joe Rogan lying about, first of all, where does a Mr. Billionaire Hollywood even know a teacher? Even when they catch him red-handed lying, they still got to call this video Joe Rogan Falls for the Litter Box Lie. No, dude. Joe Rogan is lying. Now, Joe Rogan is a fascist. And he's always been a fascist, even when he endorsed Bernie, because he just didn't think Bernie was going to win the primary. And now that he thinks that fascism is going to overthrow democracy, he thinks it's safe to move to Texas and be himself. Believe him when he tells you who he is. Joe's a big fan of unregulated gun markets. And I found something on Amazon that's made specifically for school shootings. It's called the Mayday Classroom Emergency Lockdown Kit. I want you to pay attention. By the way, this thing goes to $96.50, and I think it's overpriced. Amazon. Look at this yellow thing. That there's a shit bucket for kids. So he's not completely off base. Joe Rogan is not completely off base. He's just way off base.